Hi, I'm Vanessa Vicaria, aka The Math Guru, and you're listening to Math Therapy, a podcast that helps guests work through their math traumas one problem at a time. Whether you think you're a math person or not, you're about to find out that math people don't actually exist. But the scars that math class left on many of us definitely do. And don't worry, no calculators or actual math were involved in the making of this podcast. Hey guys. Okay, so today I have like an actual magician on the show. I don't know why this is so exciting, but I don't know. I feel like I've never been like up close and personal with a magician before. So by day, Jonah Babins is a magician performing at events in Toronto, New York, and LA, and he has his own magic company called the Toronto Magic Company. But by night, he interviews some of the most famous magicians on the planet on his very own podcast called Discourse in Magic. Basically, he's a magic nerd. Like, that's how he identifies. And I am digging it. But low-key, guys, Jonah has a degree in math. And today we discuss whether math and magic are actually, like, the same thing. Or maybe totally not at all. Or maybe it's all just an illusion. Okay, that, like, didn't really have much to do with anything, but I really wanted to say it. Okay, so on that note, here is Jonah Babins, everyone. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here.
Okay, so as you know, this podcast is called Math Therapy.
Yes.
And we are going to figure out what that means together. But I'm basically here to help you work through your math trauma.
Okay.
So what's really interesting is you're one of our few guests who actually, from what I gather, likes math.
Oh, but I still have trauma.
Right, exactly. So I think that's really, really cool. And so let's just start by getting into it. So why don't you just start by telling me, like, if somebody came up to you on the street, or like I came up to you in a podcast, and I was like, "Do you like math?" Yeah. What would you say?
Jonah, yeah, I love math.
Like math.
I do like math. Yeah.
Okay. And have you always liked math?
Yes. Math has frustrated me before, and probably not for the same reasons as it frustrated most people. But I do like math, and for as long as I can remember, I have always liked math.
Okay, so let's go back in time, like, because often, like, you know, trauma start as a child.
Young, yeah.
So let's go back to, like, little Jonah and, like, being in the classroom, and sort of just tell me what your experiences of math were, like, in the class. I'd say start with in the class, like.
Yeah, elementary school, I don't remember very well. But I don't really remember math making me overly excited, and like I think it was just a thing that I did, you know. I know that stuff was a little more interesting and came a little bit easier to me than writing. But really, it was once I hit high school where I had some great math teachers, and I really just got absorbed into it. It was easier for me. It was fun for me to like get into a problem, like, and because problems were more than one step, you know, it was something to like focus on, and like, so that's when I really started getting excited about it. And I had switched from a private school to a public school, and I went from taking 11 courses simultaneously to 4 courses. And I was like, whoa, what do I do with all of my free time? So instead of taking like instead of taking electives, right, just like random things, yeah. I was like, why don't I get better at math? So when I was in grade 10, which was the year that I switched, in grade 10 I did grade 10 and then 11 math. In grade 11, I did the 2 grade 12 math functions and advanced functions. And then in grade 12, I was like, and I did data management, and there was no other math for me to take. So I always felt like I was excelling. I mean, I wasn't like, I don't know, I didn't really have a reason for that. Like, I think I was
like, you weren't doing it to like get ahead, you were just like, I really enjoy this? Yeah,
I kind of wanted to do something harder. Like, I wanted to do stuff that was hard.
And you found it challenging.
And I found I found it at least like, I had to think. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to explain why. I don't know why. I was like, okay, I could take like this some random elective about like basket weaving or whatever nonsense.
That's not a thing.
Some schools are not at my school, but or like wood shop or all this stuff. And I was like, oh, I could like build a birdhouse, or I could be better at math. And I was like, oh, come on.
Okay, cool. So you actually liked being challenged and you liked thinking, but it wasn't something that was like super hard for you. It was just challenging in like a kind of fun way. So then you decided to pursue a degree in math.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
So really cool. Definitely when I went to university, I was like, I want to be challenged in math. And that super happened. And
hold on, this is nothing to do with a job, right? You're not...
No, nothing to do with a job.
Because most people going to university now, right, people feel the pressure to be like, it's not about what they enjoy doing. They're like, I need to take A in order to get to B.
So that would have been wise. That would have been a really smart way for me to go about it.
Right.
Not what I did. Okay. My feeling at the time was, I like math. I really like math. It's very fun. I could see myself being a professor, but really my hope is at some point in one of these 4 years worth of math classes, I'm going to be sitting in a class and I'm going to go, this is the type of math that I want to do.
Right.
Yeah, that never happened. That never happened. So math was super fun.
Yeah.
I loved learning it. It was really challenging. It was an entirely different kind of math than high school was. It was creative all of a sudden. I was working with other people to like problem solve at things but it was hard and it moved at a very, very quick pace. And the real problem was exactly what you said, which is all my friends were in school learning about the thing that they were going to then, whatever.
Right.
And I was like, not only learning, just doing math, what felt like for the sake of math, but there's a rule that you're not allowed to ask in a math class. And you're really not allowed to ask it in a university math class. The only rule.
Is it, why can't you divide by 0?
No, but it's a good one. The rule, come on, this rule. The rule is, where in life am I going to use
Right.
this?
Oh my God.
Where is this
You're never allowed to
going to help me in life?
I still don't. I mean, I have a pretty good answer to that, which we can talk about.
Not only in high school, that one's like, maybe that one you could maybe like go, maybe if you throw a ball, it's a parabola.
No, and also at that point, they're like, you're going to need it for university.
Right.
But now you're in university, so now what's the answer?
like, now what? So for a very long time, I just sort of said, relax that question, relax, you will figure this out, you'll use this, and there were courses that excited me a little bit, but they all seemed to be more in the direction of pure math. So it was people being like, you want to study this? Let's continue to study how many ways you can join dots and lines when you organize. And it's so interesting to me. I love doing the math, but that's what I'm going to do? That's what I'm going to do with my life? I'm going to come up with a new theorem about ways to make a connection between dots and lines? But so that's the frustration, right? Okay. That was the big, that's what I need math therapy for. Is me being in class and being like, why am I doing this? I'm just studying a random... Even if I was studying history, I would at least be wiser about the world. But when someone says to me, what are you studying? I say math, and they go ahead, what do they say?
But when will you ever need it?
No. What do people say to you when you say anything about math?
But why?
Yeah, they go, I hate math. Oh, I've despised math forever. They go, here's my favorite. They once said to me, they said, what are you studying? And I said, oh, math. And they go, oh, someone's got to do it. And I was like, I'm not taking one for the team. I enjoy this, right?
But this is so interesting because I'm picturing, so it's just so weird the way you're talking about it. So you just said, if I was studying history, then at least I'd be wiser about the world, which to me just seems kind of fucked up because, are we swearing on this podcast?
Sure.
Okay. Thanks, Jonah. So, because to me, if you're learning about math, which this is a whole other conversation, but you would say that's a universal truth in a way, that you're somehow not wiser about the world. Wouldn't you be the wisest about the world?
What did you go to school for? Did you do math or no?
No, I took a business degree, a practical business
degree. Do you know what
an
epsilon delta proof is?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to explain to you what an epsilon delta proof is. So an epsilon delta proof...
Should we bleep this out? Is this the same as swearing?
This is going to be the most therapeutic. An epsilon delta proof proves calculus.
Okay.
Okay. So, but it's proving that the incremental move, like when you do f at x plus h,
yeah.
It's proving that whole thing works out.
So like the slope of a tangent line at any point, whatever.
But it's a lot deeper than that, and you're basically like proving that the errors cancel themselves out and all this different stuff. And why?
I don't know, because that sounds cool.
I know, but like to what end? Like you already understand the slope of the line. You understand how to do it. You understand this is what it is. So what am I proving it again?
I don't know. I guess I just feel like we literally are on the planet for zero reason. So like whatever you choose to do with your time is like
again. I'm not. Of course. But that was my issue. I was sitting there
losing it.
being
you're having an existential
crisis. Exactly. The last few years of school was me being like, what is this? What am I doing? Like, not only am I like getting deeper into this field, but like I can't talk to anyone about this aside from just the people that are in this field.
So, all right, this does sound traumatic. So,
so bad.
So now, what happened in the end? Did you graduate?
So yes, I graduated.
Were you like honestly like kind of losing it?
Losing my mind.
Like, what was were you?
I was very involved in extracurriculars.
Oh, okay.
So,
thank God for that.
Right. So I found myself feeling like, someone who goes to a 9-to-5 job they really don't like. It was kind of like that. So I would like wake up really early, go to the class, write everything. Also, in math, you don't bring computers. You write exactly what the prof writes.
And was it hard?
It
doesn't even sound like it was hard.
I mean, yes, it was hard. But
that's not what was driving you crazy.
No.
It was that it was pointless.
What was I going to do? Practice this to get better at it? Like, so I did the test and I studied a little bit and I got an 85 or whatever. What? So I need... Like...
I wish you guys could see Jonah's face. He looks psycho right now.
It drove me crazy for years. And so I'll tell you one of the pinnacle moments.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
So the pinnacle moment was in 4th year and I took the leap, which was... I was in a class with a prof who I thought was one of the most down-to-earth profs that I had. He liked to talk about the world. One day he came into class and he took an empty wine glass and he put one drop of water into it. And he said, what is the likelihood that this drop of water was a drop of water that was touched by Abraham Lincoln? And we calculated it. We figured out how many molecules,
that honestly sounds so
cool.
Cool.
Yes, he was a really cool guy. So we were learning something, and we were doing this interesting math problem. And I love math. It's beautiful. Like I love it. I really.
I love how you keep defending that you love math.
Because I'm gonna get so angry in a minute, and I just want to
back away from the mic a bit.
Okay. So I did. I raised my hand and I said, "When are we going to use this?"
That's so annoying.
In what? But and I don't even know. I think I was pretty cushiony about it. But I was like, where in the world does this kind of math apply?
Okay,
where is this used? And he said, he looked at me and he, shook his head like this, and he said, "It's the job of the mathematician to uncover mathematics, so that if it is required or when it's required from another field, we've already studied it, understand it, and have uncovered it."
Oh my God, to me that's beautiful.
It is, but I said, you mean to tell me that I am going into the desert, digging a hole yay wide by yay deep, and hoping that one day someone is looking for that hole? And he goes, exactly. And I was like, oh my gosh.
What?
Well,
because you know what? This to me is like most of academia.
Right.
That's what academics do, where you're just like, what the fuck are you researching?
Yes.
Like, this is random shit and like all these journal articles that are never read. But then one day there is a cure for something in there that someone is looking for.
Listen, even that aspect of math is really beautiful to me. There's something called, do you know what matrix multiplication is?
Yeah.
Okay. So matrix multiplication was invented. Okay. Someone said, oh, maybe if we stack the equations like this and we do it like this, we can build... And it was invented. We need matrix multiplication for all of the math that we do when we go to space.
Right.
How beautiful.
Yeah, that sounds
cool.
cool.
How amazing. Right. This is so cool, right?
But you just couldn't see...
I just didn't want to be the one digging the hole.
You're right. And also, I mean, it might never be used. You might never need what you did for your whole life.
I had a math professor. I don't know. I think he was a master's student or something. But he was telling us what him and his friends do when they finish their thesis, which is when they put it in the library, they put a $50 bill in it and they put it there, so that when they go back and visit the school a few years later, they know if anybody has read it, if the bill is there or not.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, so sad. Like, what? Like, okay, so let me go back. Let's go down to earth for a minute. Let's go back for a few seconds. Like, at that time, I was sort of figuring out, like, what am I capable of?
Right.
Because all my friends right now spend 4 years learning how to write or learning how to, I don't know, do any important thing. And I am just, like, deep in this, like...
existential.
Yeah, this whole of math, like, what is this? So, I liked math, I liked the problem solving, but I was like, I don't know, like, what can I do? And I kind of came to a conclusion, right or wrong, probably wrong.
Okay.
But if I could do this math stuff, I can do whatever.
Right. Hold on. So what does that mean? Why? Because you're so smart?
Not like, yay, I'm so smart, but like, clearly I could overcome this, which was both hard on my brain and hard, like...
emotionally.
And
spiritually.
Time-wise. And, like, time-wise, right? Like, I had to work a lot at it, and I had to, like, do a lot, and I had to... Like, so I was like, if I can do this, like, I can do whatever.
Okay, but this... let's just pause on that. Because exactly what you said is exactly the opposite how anyone who can't do math feels. Right? They literally feel like, if I am not capable, not your level of math, but if I'm not capable of mastering X math concept,
right,
then what else am I incapable of?
Totally.
Right? If I can't... so whereas for you, it's like this opposite... So I actually have a question here, just to pull it back for a sec. Like, you're obviously working hard, but it wasn't like this huge obstacle you had to overcome.
It wasn't like... If I was doing a degree in English, that would be working.
Right, okay.
That would be working.
So you're doing normal hard work, but you are confident and you've always kind of been good at this. So that idea that gave you this feeling, like, how do you think that's affected you in your life? Like, you're saying, like, that basically made you feel confident that you could tackle anything.
Yeah.
Which is an incredibly powerful feeling that we want, like, most human beings to feel generally, because we are all technically capable.
I feel that anybody can do most things. And I say most things, and even myself most things, but for the sake of argument, only for the sake of safety, let's cut off the top 1% of difficult things.
Sure.
Even 2%.
Great.
I think anybody can do anything.
Right, me too.
Like, I think if we're there, like, if we've cut off the top performers, top, the ones who are like, oh, naturally he was born with a body like that. Right. Let's cut the prodigies.
Yeah.
Like, anybody can do, like, most things.
Right.
Like, and I feel pretty good about that. Like, and that was kind of the conclusion that I came to.
That's so interesting, because do you think most people have that view?
I don't.
So that's really interesting, and so this whole vibe of, like, even though you didn't like the kind of, like, end of this means kind of vibe, you still left feeling like you could do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So let's do a switcheroo and tell me about magic. How did this all happen?
So I've done magic for a very long time, since I was super young. Okay. I did random...
like, you were always just interested in magic.
Yeah, my uncle did magic. I sort of fell in love with that. That's the story that people tell me. I don't remember it. It was too early for me. That's how early it was. But I'm pretty sure my uncle got me into magic. I kept doing it a little bit. I did little random shows here and there, if something, but, like, whoever hires a 12-year-old, that kind of show, right? And then... come university, and this might very well played a role in my lack of interest in the depth of math, but when all of my friends in the summer were going to do their math internships, or whatever that means, I went and started touring summer camps, doing magic, right? So that was when I started doing, I taught workshops, I did camp-wide shows, I did staff shows, and that was another thing that I was sort of succeeding 3 or 2 months out of the year, the 2 months I had off, at this other thing that made me feel, that was another step in the direction of like, yeah, you can do whatever. Like, this is not like so crazy.
I know, because like there's an interesting parallel here, right? Like, so were you like, if I can do magic, I can do whatever?
Not really.
Like, was magic just like, because magic, like, think about the word magic.
Yeah.
It's like literally like
Impossible.
magic.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people say about math. Like, people who can't do math are often like, well, it's just like
it's
magic.
Like impossible.
Right?
Yeah,
it's impossible, right?
Yeah.
So there's like a very like interesting similarity there.
Yeah. I mean, magic is also very hard. You know, magic is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Don't you just like learn
So magic
tricks?
Magic is an art.
Okay.
So like any art form, it's as deep as you choose to make it. So an artist can take a painting and go, here's my painting.
Right.
Or they can slave over their painting for years. You know, like, you know, the Mona Lisa was first painted as an outline, and then the skeleton, and then the naked body, and then the clothing, and then the... Why? No, but do you know why?
No.
Me neither. But that's the choice of the artist,
right.
and like that's the depth that he's put into it. And I don't know, it seems like a pretty popular painting.
Yeah, people like it.
Right. So I'm not saying that like you need to paint a painting like that, but definitely the relationship between effort and result are pretty tied together. So magic is only as good as I put an effort into it, and I put as much effort as I can, which means it's the hardest thing I've ever done. So I think math and all of the troubles with math have to do with, and I know you feel very similarly, is that one bad teacher, right? And the reason is because I think math is boiled down to the smallest element, is just about teaching and explaining. It's just systems. Like, it's just, when this happens, you do this.
Right.
Or when this happens, that means this happens, right?
Like, you're not making anything up.
You're not making anything up. There's no like, oh, well, you have to come up with it. There's none of that. There's just, when this happens, you do this. Mm-hmm. Which means I think math boiled down is really about, in basis, teaching and learning. Because how well I can explain to you and make clear that when A happens, B happens, is how well you'll be able to do it on your own for eternity. We all hear the voice of whoever it was that taught us the thing telling us the thing every time we think of the thing. Right? Like, that's how we learn stuff. We think back, what did so-and-so, oh yeah, this is the lesson that I learned in this place, right? So in
That's
math,
true, actually, because I always think that, especially with us tutoring, that like students will often say, like, I remember how you taught me this, or I remember this funny way you used to say that.
So it literally comes down to the quality of the teacher, which is how effective they are at learning. So I think in math, you are teaching A implies B, B implies C, C implies D. And then innately, the student should understand that A implies D.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
Even though it might not be instinctual, if we've gone with each of the step, I now know that A implies D. That this means that this is a situation. In magic, in doing a trick, it works exactly the same way, except one of those steps, A implies B, B implies C, C implies D, is a lie. Or at least one of those steps is a lie. And the A implying D is a paradox. Okay? So
Like, explain this more.
I'll give you a great example.
Okay.
So let's say I have a piece of rope. So I say, this is a whole piece of rope. And you say, yes. And I say, I'm going to fold it in half. You say, yes. And I say, I'm going to take the middle. Is this the middle? And you say, yes. And I say, I'm going to cut it. And you say, yes. And I say, I now have 2 ropes. You say, yes. And then I say, whew, it's back together as 1 rope.
How do they do that?
There's a million different ways.
Right.
The answer to every way that it works is one of those things that I said at least was a lie.
Like, you didn't do it.
Maybe I didn't cut it. Maybe I didn't hold it by the middle. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it's not 1 rope at the end. It's 2, but I'm holding them together. Maybe it's one of those is a lie. Right. So the similarity between math and magic is, because math, I think, is about teaching, magic is also about teaching, because I need to make sure that you're convinced of each step of that A implies B, B implies C. If one of those makes you go like, hey, wait a second, right? Like a student scratching their head about like, you just saying like, this means this, and they're like, I don't understand. You're like, oh, just do it. Like, you don't want that, right? You want like, oh, I get it. So there's a little bit of trickery, obviously, because it's a lie, but all of the skills I learned in learning and teaching to people while I was, working with them is the whole A implies B, B implies C, C implies D thing. And you ever teach something to a student and you're like, do you get this? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, No, you don't.
Yeah.
I can see it in
you
your
can
face,
see the dead
right?
eyes.
Right. That's half of what I do, is making sure you get it. Even if I lied, making sure you get it so that when the result comes to be, it's impossible for you because each step
you understood.
Made sense. Right.
That's so cool. Yeah. That's such a cool way of thinking about it.
That's the relationship between the two of them for me.
Okay, so one last question. How do you think your confidence with math, like kind of carrying that confidence your whole life, has affected sort of your sense of self-worth or the way you kind of like approach your day-to-day life? Like, have you ever thought about that? Yeah,
so my confidence with math has gone up and down like a sine wave. Come on. This is what we're here for. Okay. So when I early, I don't remember, but in high school when I was doing math that was ahead of where I should have been, I felt really advanced. I felt like I was secretly Superman. Like unless you were in my class, you didn't know how much I knew.
Right.
And then I went to university and I was in a class with all of those people. They were all the people that were good at me, and it was down again. And then nearing the middle, I felt like there are some types of math where you could hit me with a problem that seems like just outrageous and I could just line by line figure out how it works creatively, come to the solution and be able to explain it to a layperson, right? Like somebody who does not know math, I could be like, I'm going to explain to you how this is being solved and you will understand it and feel really good about that. Now I feel confident, and I feel confident that I can understand a problem and understand what the problem is.
Like any problem or just a math problem?
I feel really good about my problem solving skills.
Okay.
Part of what I was saying earlier, when I was leaving school and saying to myself, okay, I can do anything, what I used that to do is I said, if we assume I can do anything, what would be fun and what kind of work environment would I want to build for myself? So one was I wanted to solve creative problems.
Right.
So that was a really cool thing about math that I loved doing, was creating, solving creative problems. Second thing that I knew that I really loved was I both wanted to work with other people, because that was a real highlight of school, but I also wanted to work deeply in things. That was a really big joy of math. So I was like, okay, I want to work with other people. I want to solve creative problems. I want to be able to work on my own deeply. And I was like, okay, that's enough to set it into the world. With that and the feeling that I can do whatever, that's a way better approach than being how do I use this math degree?
I love this.
So that is what allowed me to say people are always asking themselves at the end of university or whatever, what do I want to do? It's ginormous question. But I turned the question on its head and I said, assuming that whatever I'll do will succeed greatly because I'm amazing or whatever, then what would be fun? And that solved the what should I do question way, way easier. Because I said, I know what would be fun. I'll start a magic podcast where I interview world famous magicians. Right. That's what I'm doing now. I do full-time magic. I've got the podcast. I have the Toronto Magic Company where I produce shows. And I never thought I would be doing a creative job. In some ways, it has a lot to do with math because I do a lot of problem solving. I'm doing ticket sales, which means, I have to do numbers. I have to see how much per ticket I can do in ads versus, all of this stuff where math is coming in handy. But for the most part, it's the problem solving, the confidence, and just this ability that hit me with your problem, hit me with the thing and let me solve it. And even still, I love performing. I love doing magic. Secretly, deep down, I much rather someone come up to me and say here's the trick that I'm struggling with. Help me make this work. Because I'm a problem solver.
Well, we could talk about this for hours, but we are going to end by me asking you the two questions that I ask everyone on the podcast, and then giving you your prescription, and I know exactly what it's going to be, and I'm so excited. Okay, so first question, what would you say to someone who thinks that they are not a math person?
I would say first, if you're listening to this right now, you think you're not a math person, just say out loud the name of the math teacher that ruined that for you. Just say it into the air, and then it will be released from you, and then you won't have to say that anymore. You can just release it. Mrs. Chablang, or whatever her name is, just release it, and then it'll be over. And I will also say that there are so many amazing resources and teachers online and offline to help. And
I would add, not to add to your answer, but I think one thing you would and should say is what you said earlier, which is that anybody, if you just take away the 1 or 2% that are natural born, anyone can do anything.
Anybody can get a 90% on a high school math test.
Okay, number 2, if you could change one thing about the way math is taught, what would it be?
I would hold off on calculus until university. I think the stuff that I learned in data management, like that basic statistics and probability, has been so much more important in my world than f at x plus h. There's so many people don't take courses like data management because they are like, enough math. Like, I don't need another math
a lot of people
course.
also take them because if they want to go into a program requiring math, you normally need the other ones, not data.
Right. So it gets neglected.
Yeah.
I think it is so much more applicable because you sit in that class and all you think of is the ways in the world that it applies. It's all you think of. They're talking about, in this population, you can assume this and this, and you're like, I live in a population, I
assume things all the time. Okay, is there anything else you want to say?
As much as I have talked so much smack about math, I
can tell you love math.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Math is so beautiful in a way that I cannot express. When you have a proof and you're creating something and you make all these terms and they all cancel out and you understand why, and it ends up like simple and it's beautiful, and like to look at a circumference of a cylinder and be like, why is it that? And some be like, it's 2 circles and a rectangle wrapped around like cardboard, and you're like, oh yeah, and now it just makes sense. Or like to go through a proof and meticulously go from like, this equation makes no sense, to be like, I innately understand how these terms work, is like, I cannot express enough how beautiful it is.
I think we need a good picture and the caption, find a guy that looks
you look at math. Yeah, totally. There are math proofs that I still love, like the proof of infinite prime.
Wait, can't wait to hear about that later. No one wants to hear about that. Okay. Okay. So, before I give you your prescription, why don't you do a little promo? Tell our listeners what you want them to do.
So, if you want magic at an event anytime, call me. You can go to jonahbabins.com.
You're coming to our next staff party for sure.
Done. Boom, boom, boom. I'll be there. I'll bend some cutlery. And if you want to go see a live magic show in Toronto, we have shows every week all over the city called the Toronto Magic Company. And I made a coupon code called Math Therapy, where you get 15% off if you use coupon code Math Therapy to any of our shows, although half of our shows are free. But if you want to go
What's half off of free?
It's 15% off, and it is still free. So I like to make the problems very easy to solve here. The proofs are easy here. Come see a show. And if you come see the free one, let me know that you came because you heard about this podcast, and we can talk math, or we can talk about all the things we hate about math, or whatever it is that you want.
Okay, so now it's time for your math therapy prescription.
Yes.
So, Jonah, I have heard you say over and over again during our time together that the one question you're not allowed to ask is, when will I need this in real life?
Yes.
And it's really interesting the way you talk about it, because you keep kind of saying you don't need any of the stuff you're using in your math degree, like nothing you learned you ever needed in real life. But interestingly, there's like this very beautiful weaving in and out of all the ways you actually have used your math degree in real life. So I want you to write for all of our students. I would like some sort of poster for the Math Guru wall of all the ways you need math in real life that have nothing to do with actual math.
Love it.
I want you to just write me a list of 10 amazing things that math has given you in life.
Done. Part of the reason why this is so exciting is because I did it, right? I used math in the real world, that existential problem of what's the point? Just for everyone to keep teaching this for the rest of time and no one ever figure out what it's used for? Like, I finally got out of that alive, you know, and I figured out what it's used for. So,
and I feel like you're using every, like, that math degree might be like the best thing that ever happened to you, because if it has literally left you with the feeling that you could do anything on the planet, what else do you ever want to gain from something?
Yeah, I don't know what else. It's pretty
like
good.
You're living large. Like, most people don't think they can do anything in the world. Like, that's something to think about.
Bummer.
Okay, cool.
Amazing. This was so much fun.
Wow. I just loved that whole convo, even though, like, now I feel like I'm on the verge of an existential crisis about the meaning of knowledge, but in a good way. Okay, so, like the great student that he is, Jonah did fulfill his prescription, and you can see his list of why math matters, the list that has nothing to do with, but everything to do with actual math, on our website where we put all of our show notes, themathguru.ca/maththerapy. For more Jonah Babins, check him out live at the Toronto Magic Company. And remember, Math Therapy listeners get a discount. Just use promo code MathTherapy. Also, do yourselves a favor and check out his podcast, Discourse in Magic, which you can grab on your fave podcasting app. Remember to follow us on all social media at The Math Guru for more math therapy. That's where we put all extra episode-related content every week. And of course, a reminder that Math Therapy is hosted by me, Vanessa Vicaria, produced by Sabina Wex, and edited by David Kochberg. And our theme song is Waves by Goodnight Sunrise, which is my rock and roll band. Guys, also, if you know someone who needs math therapy or needs to hear someone else just getting math therapy, please, please, please share this podcast and write us a quick review on iTunes. Those two things actually make such a big difference. I am so determined to change the culture surrounding math, and I really need your help. So please do spread the word. That's all for this week. Stay tuned for our next episode out next Thursday.